here today, and it is a warm but slightly cloudy Wednesday. Guys, today I want to talk to you about the power of silence. I think this, give me a second, I think this little camera is a little bit dirty. Let me clean that. There we go. Oh man, YouTube live is everything's real. Like everything's live. You don't get to hide shit. You can't just pause this and make out like that didn't happen. But yeah, guys, look, I made a bit of a mistake today at work. I mean, it wasn't. Look, it's not life changing, as I'm not gonna lose my job over it. But it's one of those moments where you just stress and you sweat buckets. Like I was stressing so hard. Like I felt so bad because apparently I'd said something to somebody that I wasn't meant to say, even though that person told me that thing was public knowledge, that thing was official now. And I guess I assumed, you should never assume, I assumed that official correlated or equated to being public knowledge. Turns out it wasn't. So I had mud all over my face and I felt like a bit of an idiot. And it got me thinking. I don't often make mistakes like that, but when I do, I realize that I just should have either shut my mouth to begin with, or I should have maybe asked the person that divulged the information to me, not necessarily a secret, but divulged the information to me in the beginning. I should say to them, look, when you say it's official, is it official and public knowledge, or is it just official and not yet public knowledge? And I guess that's in a business setting. But in a broader setting, when we're talking about all aspects of life, I actually think it's a very powerful concept. When I had my red pill moment and things went sour with my relationship that I had with my wife, who I'm now no longer with. Still a great chick, just we didn't work out as husband and wife. There were a lot of things that I knew about the people that were meant to be my friends that turned their back on me, that for lack of a better word, white knighted for her, and basically tossed me out in the street, out of my own home, out of my own house that I put my entire life savings into. And when I sat back and I reflected on their independent values based on what they believed to be true, understand why they did what they did, but at the same time, it took everything in my power to not lash out and not attack and not try and one-up them with, doing a dick move. And, I still hold information. I mean, I hold information that could destroy marriages, that could ruin people, that could have them absolutely alienated from everyone they care about, in the same way that I was alienated from those that I cared about by the people who didn't understand what I was going through and where I was at. And look, mistakes were made. I made some fuck ups of my own, and I'll own those, and that's okay. But that silence, it's a very, very hard thing to do and to maintain. It's like when we talk about when there's, for example, secrets or special things going on. How hard is it to keep a birthday surprise? You know what I mean? How hard is it when you know that you're giving someone an incredible gift that they're just going to be over the moon about, to just shut your fucking mouth and keep it zero? Just keep everything under wraps. Like, that's not easy. That requires discipline, requires self-control, and it requires restraint. And that's something that even the best of men sometimes can struggle with. It's something that I know overwhelmingly women struggle even more with. I mean, if you want to keep a secret, just don't share it with a woman, because they love to gossip, they love to talk, they love to chat. It's very, very very, very difficult for most of them to keep secrets. It's difficult for us as well. It's maybe not as difficult, but it still ain't easy. But I realized that when you tell everyone something, then you no longer wield any power. You no longer wield any strength when it comes to that particular thing, because you have no leverage. And this is, I'm not saying have leverage to screw someone over, although silence can hold that leverage. But it's more about the leverage of just keeping your nose clean, being respected. I mean, I know people that, great guys, but they will take secrets to their deathbed. Doesn't matter how much they trust you. Doesn't matter how much they know that you are worthy of that trust. It doesn't matter how much faith they have in you that you won't share that secret with anyone until the day you die. They still won't say a word, because keeping quiet is the essence of their selves and the essence of their strength, and it speaks volumes of their character. And I think it's something that I aspire to, a quality that I aspire to exhibit even more than I feel I already do. There's always room for improvement. There's always an opportunity to be better. There's always things that I could potentially remain more tight-lipped about. But the important thing, guys, is to not be a gossip. Don't be somebody that everyone looks at you and says, oh, Scott talks shit all the time. He can't keep his mouth shut about things. Like, I'll open my mouth when it comes to things that are important, things that are public knowledge, things that need to be heard as a public message, like MGTOW, and all of the things to look for, like red flags in relationships, all the things that keep you safe. I will not stay silent about that, because your safety and your happiness, guys, is my number one priority. That's why I do this daily. That's why I keep it real. That's why I put my face on here. That's why I put my name on here. That's why I put my job on the line, so that you can hear the truth and know what it is that you need to know to stay safe. And that's, again, why I'm doing this video today, because sometimes silence is golden. Silence is safety. Silence is power. And when you are able to remain silent about things that, maybe aren't common knowledge, or that maybe you shouldn't talk about if you were to, delve into your good conscience, then you should just keep that to yourself. And I think that's masculinity fundamentally is, feminists say that toxic masculinity is not talking about your feelings. And, I agree it's important to talk about the things that bother you. But let's say, for example, you're in a scenario, you're a man who has a family, who has kids, and, your kids are going through teenage years and they're being bullied at school. They're really struggling with depression. And then, your wife is really struggling. And, look, we all know that we advocate to not get married, but there are some men that are already married. There are some men that will go against that advice. And they deserve our compassion and our help and our advice just as much as those of us who aren't in legally binding relationships do. So when you've got your wife or your partner, and you've got, or if you're gay, your mate, your actual partner, your male partner, or your female partner if you're female, and your kids, I think it's really important as a man to not necessarily disclose everything. And yeah, it might hurt to keep that on our shoulders, and I don't think that you should resort to alcoholism or drugs. And if you're going to resort to alcoholism or drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with the weight that you've got on your shoulders, then I think you need some greater help than you can give yourselves or that your family can bring to you. And when you can be that strength for the others around you, when you can hold on, and by all means, please confide in the people you need to confide in, but confide about things that you need to confide in. Don't leave yourself vulnerable, because it's okay to be vulnerable, but I don't think it's a smart idea to put yourself knowingly and consciously in a vulnerable position, because that's what ends up leaving us hurt men. Like if you get married, right, and you put the house in your wife's name, that leaves you vulnerable. If you know that you have a vindictive ex, but yet you go over and you talk to her without someone else to be there as a witness, or if you have phone calls with you and you argue with her over the phone without a call recorder, obviously check the laws in your state if you're planning to do something like this, but you're speaking to her and having conversations with someone you know to be vindictive on the phone, where you know there will be phone records of the conversation between the two of you, make sure that you protect yourself. Don't say things that you don't need to say. There's your power right there. If you want to call her a fucking bitch, or you want to call someone an asshole, or you want to say, mate, you're a fucking prick to some dude that screwed you over, that's okay. It's okay to feel those things. But I would advise, if it's not in your best interests, to not do it. Hold that power. That power, that silence is your power right there. Because sometimes speaking out about something hurts you worse than if you keep your mouth shut. And everything is a risk analysis. Everything in life, it's risk versus reward. You have to look at this side and you got to look at this side. You got to look at whether those two things weigh up in a way where it's advantageous to you at the end of the day. I'm not saying you have to screw other people over or step on people to take advantage, but if it's going to be between you and them and you haven't done anything wrong, then you should look after yourself first. Right? Even if you have done something wrong, you need to balance fairness and being kind to yourself as a man. You need to respect who you are enough to say, even if everyone from around me walks away from me, even if everybody around me shuns me and wants nothing to do with me after this moment, right here, right now, I will not allow myself to ruin myself because I can't shut my mouth, or because I can't have the strength to think about what I say before I say it. And it applies with family, it applies with personal relationships if you choose to be in a relationship, it applies in the workplace, it applies to so many different scenarios, and I just can't stress that enough. But I know that this is, I guess, a little bit of a placid video, guys, compared to what I normally do. I normally get pretty passionate. But I think this is a very powerful message, and I don't need to really drive it home in order for you to understand how critical this particular concept is. Anyway, guys, it's something I'd like you to reflect on. Think about time in your life when you'd said something where maybe staying silent was the best option, and just if you know something that's potentially sensitive or is potentially privileged information, then just suggest that you think twice about divulging that information to anybody, because that could actually take the power away from you, and that could be your undoing. By the way, thank you for everyone on the live stream. I see there's 3 of you in the live stream right now, and 3 thumbs up. Thank you so much for the equal number. 3 thumbs up, 3 in the live stream. Appreciate it. I know that a lot of you guys in America won't tend to catch me unless it's really early morning, and I'm sorry. I have had some requests for some videos. Well, thank you, another thumbs up. I've had some requests for videos a little bit earlier in the day so that the guys in the US can catch it. I'm going to work towards maybe trying to come up with 2 topics a day, or doing a topic earlier in the day and then elaborating on it, or elaborating earlier in the day on my previous day's topic. Let's see how that works. But guys, let's get the message out there about MGTOW. I think, and I've said this before, and I think it's well understood that 2018 is going to be an enormous year for MGTOW. It's going to be an enormous year for pulling back on the gynocracy. Hey, Irish MGTOW, how you doing, man? I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time for men. And I think that a lot of fairnesses are going to get restored where they were previously very unjust laws. Except for, of course, California, because they are just fucking cucked beyond belief. I'm glad that Britain, Irish MGTOW, I'm sure you'll be glad that, the homeland of the UK. I know it's not exactly Ireland isn't exactly Britain, but it's still the UK. UK is starting to become a little less cucked. They're starting to realize they fucked up, and they're starting to realize that, just taking the side of the accuser in all circumstances isn't necessarily going to result in justice for people and fairness and due process. California is just going down the absolute gurgler. Sorry to my California MGTOW brothers out there, but you guys know what's up. You know, it's a pretty fucked state of affairs right now for you all. And yeah, if any of you want to reach out to me, drop me an email. You know, you want to share a story, you want to hit me up and let me know that you'd like to me to meet up with you on my travels. I'm hoping to travel all over Australia this year, go to different states and meet up with my MGTOW brothers. Anyone from Sydney, please hit me up and let me know that you're in Sydney and give me your contact details. I'll be in touch. Looking forward to doing bi-monthly or quarterly meetups as well. You know, I know this isn't my particular phrase that I've coined, but you know, thank you all for supporting Project Mayhem. Project Mayhem, you know, is the words of Chris Cantu, and it is the empowerment and the strength and the building of MGTOW moving forward all the way through 2017 and gaining steam in 2018. We've got a lot of people on our side now, man. We have politicians, we have social commentators, we have reformed feminists, we have some people in the mainstream media on our side, and we are gaining strength, we are gaining momentum. Don't think this fight is over. Feminists are upping their ante. They want to see men shat on. They don't care if men get basically destroyed in order to you know, give justice to some people. They'd rather, like, I mean, there's people out there saying, I don't care if a few innocent men have to get taken down to dismantle the patriarchy. If there's any women listening to this stream, I mean, I'm going to say this time and time over. We don't live in a patriarchy. You want to live in a patriarchy? You go to Saudi Arabia. Then you'll have your patriarchy. But right now, we live in a gynocracy. We live in a matriarchy where the screeching of women is appeased more than the suffering of men. We will not suffer anymore. We are taking the power back. We are creating a situation whereby we cannot be silenced, and we will not allow ourselves to be ignored anymore. We will stand up in the media. We will talk up. We will fight against. We will take our money out of the banks. We will invest in crypto. You know, we will tell governments, we will tell daddy government, which has appeased to their little daughter so long, that their sons are not going to let them themselves be shit on anymore. Appreciate Dentia Brown. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. So men, look, MGTOW 2018, shit is gaining momentum. We are growing in numbers. We are growing in power. We are growing in influence. We have people in Google. We have people in all of the different social media platforms who agree with us. Although they're largely silenced, they are working behind the scenes to help hamper the efforts of feminists to silence us as much as possible. They are fighting back against the social justice warriors. They are, you know, trying to help us have our voice as much as we can. We've got people like Zeitgeist Eater, who's backed up all of the MGTOW channels that have been asked to be backed up. Thank you, Zeitgeist Eater, for the good work you do, my brother. Thank you for backing up Big John's channel, MGTOW 101, and all of the big channels that are a threat to people's subjective version of the truth. We have the objective, the real version of the truth, the full unabridged, bullshit-free version of the truth. We know what's up, we know what's going on, and you know, the silence is broken, and people are getting red-pilled day after day. Speaking of which, please share this video with your friends if you think that they need this. If you've got someone who's a loudmouth that can't shut the fuck up if their life depended on them in important situations, share this with them. Don't hold back. Like, we need to get this message out there. The more power we can create for ourselves, the more peace we can create for ourselves. The more we can have these laws shut down and modified to create fairness and decency and dignity for our fellow brothers. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for the shares. Thank you to those of you who haven't subscribed. Please subscribe and hit the bell next to it to get all your notifications. I look forward to seeing all of you in the future. Peace.